Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 10 of season 3 of Legends of Tomorrow, Daddy Dahrkest. And this is our big Matt Ryan pops up to guest star as John Constantine episode. And that's certainly quite enjoyable, but it doesn't change the fact that there are some really kind of serious problems with this uh, with this episode. So let's just kind of get right into things. First of all, we do kind of learn the motivation for Kuasa. She wants to change history, stop her village from being destroyed, and all of that. But it doesn't really, to me, ring very, very strongly emotionally. Never mind, Mari constantly the whole thing. It's like, oh, I want to stop her, but she's my granddaughter. I mean, their whole relationship just feels extremely repetitive. Um, And it's just like the whole thing, especially of her letting Kuasa out after she's been captured. Plus, why did nobody think to use the freeze gun on a water person before? Um, and then one of the first things she immediately tries to do is kill Nate. Never mind the fact that she's already tried to kill Ray and her other teammates. I mean, I get it that it's her granddaughter, but sort of like you need to show a little bit more caution with people, somebody who has repeatedly tried to murder your friends. And it's just kind of getting to the point where Mari's attempts to reason with her just seem kind of ridiculous. It's like, okay, look, you can try and reason with her, once this whole situation is over. Let's keep her locked up for now. Because if we defeat Malice, then her motivation basically evaporates. Pardon the pun. So yeah, the idea that the necklaces are kind of something that can harm Malice. Well, okay, that's potentially interesting, but I'm not sure where they're going with this, especially with the whole, a sixth necklace unknown to history. Let's see. Mick was just a huge disappointment this episode. It's sort of like, really, he can't stop watching football to sort of deal with this. I mean, seriously, the comedy this season has just gotten completely out of control, and it's become just absurd. Um, Now, sort of setting Sarah and John up as two very similar people, well, that does work. Um, I mean, they're people who've had some really effed up experiences in their lives, and sort of do struggle with, you know, kind of trying to do good, but having that dark past. But the way they try to sell this, like, Constantine is like, yeah, my soul is damned to hell. And Sarah is like, I fight my inner darkness every day. It's like, when? Like, your struggle against your inner darkness hasn't been a thing for quite a while, Sarah. And unless you've really watched the Constantine TV show, which I have, I've seen it all, John's words just kind of ring a little bit hollow. I mean, you do kind of get the sense that he kind of failed a girl before, and that's why he's going out of his way to try and help Emily. Well, that does work. But, I mean, it's sort of like they try to push this parallel between Sarah and John a little too hard. If they just sort of let it be a little bit more organic, I think that would have worked a little bit better. But nonetheless, it's still a pretty interesting dynamic to sort of watch, and also kind of interesting to see the two of them briefly hook up, which is kind of hilarious, especially towards the end where John's like, "Yeah, yeah, if you ever need my help again," he's trying to be all coy, and then Sarah is just ultimately like, "Thanks for the sex, homie." It's just like, okay, I'll give them that. I will give them that one. That was funny. Um, Snart just like, yeah, this has been fun, but I'm going to go back to my Nazi filled world and marry my boyfriend. Like, well, that was remarkably sudden. I mean, I kind of wish he sort of, I would think it would have been funny. It's sort of like, yeah, this has been fun, but you guys were busy, you know. Sorry, I thought I heard something outside. Um, like you guys were basically banging while I was almost getting lobotomized, so I don't know if I can trust myself around you anymore, trust my safety around you anymore. I think that would have been a little bit better. It just here feels like okay, well, Wentworth Miller's had his fun. We probably won't be seeing him again anytime soon, which is kind of a shame. But yeah, again, it just feels like such a weak and poorly done moment. Let's see. Now, Emily, I think they did reasonably well. And her turning out to be Nora Dark. Okay, that worked. That was a surprise. That was genuinely interesting. Um, of course, we do have the situation of Damien Dark pops up and has every opportunity to kill Zari and Ray, but doesn't for no discernible reason. Um, and just like the shameless way they reused the jitters set from the Flash. I mean, somebody pointed out like, yeah, the cups even say CC jitters on it, which is just sort of like, man, that's weak. That's weak. But it does kind of flesh her out as a character a little bit, and knowing that she did kind of have this connection to the legends, and that she ended up becoming a bad guy because they failed her. Well, that does make things a little bit more interesting. Um, the idea of this attraction between Sarah and Neva, that's another thing that I thought is just sort of like, really, we kind of have to go here. This just feels so incredibly forced. And yeah, I kind of think that's my main thing with this episode. I mean, I love Matt Ryan as Constantine, but he doesn't really get to show us the sort of depths that Constantine has as a character here in this episode. We get a few little hints here and there, and it's certainly fun to see him reprise the role, but he doesn't really have enough to work with to make it super compelling. And the potential, they tap a little of the potential between Sarah and John as characters, but it's not fully realized. And ultimately, oh, excuse me, it just feels like another episode of there's some potential, there's some good moments, there's definitely some moments that could have been done better, and then there's a whole lot of nonsense in here that just sort of drags everything down, which is ultimately really disappointing because the whole Constantine appearance is something I've been looking forward to for a really long time. Like Rip Hunter having escaped from the Time Bureau, okay, again, that's potentially interesting. We'll just have to see where it goes. But I think they really do need to focus more on Damien Dark and his, Legion of Doom 2.0 to really kind of amp this season up and make us a little bit more invested in what's going on. But we're just going to have to see. Anyway, guys, I'll call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Who's Your Jedi, and please also join me on Tumblr at Jedi Reviewer. Until next time, take care and have a good one.